We all love a power fantasy. A hero destined to save the world, blessed with powers no one else possesses. These characters are what we call the Chosen Ones. But not everybody can be chosen. Instead, some continue to struggle on their journey, even while knowing there is someone else meant to be the hero. Yet despite their weakness, and despite knowing they were never meant to be the hero of their world, all that mattered is that they are the heroes of their own story. Even if destiny does not support them on their path, these characters continue to push forward. These so-called Unchosen Ones are not just characters that blend into the background. Rather, they carve their own paths. So why do these characters leave just as much of an impact, if not more, than the heroes who were actually chosen? Before we go any further, we need to answer one important question. What actually is an Unchosen One? And no, it does not describe the loner protagonists who are chosen last in gym class. Instead, the complication actually comes with the difference between this trope and the underdog trope. To put it simply, almost all characters who are Unchosen Ones are underdogs, but not all underdogs are Unchosen Ones. So what actually separates the two? Well, if you channel all of your brain cells into listening to my explanation, you just might get it. For example, the majority of your favourite shonen protagonists fall into the underdog category, but not the Unchosen One trope. To keep things interesting, I'll give a more random example for this next one. While Goblin Slayer is infamous for its disgusting and grotesque first episode, the main character actually fits into the Unchosen One trope. This may confuse some of you, as those of you who have seen the show might not even describe him as an underdog. So, what is the defining difference between an underdog and the Unchosen One, you might ask? It's actually extremely simple. The key is, for there to be an Unchosen One, there also needs to be a Chosen One. This is why Goblin Slayer fits the trope, as there is already a hero in his world who has already been chosen. Whereas someone like Kenichi from Kenichi the Mightiest Disciple is simply just an underdog. So the Unchosen One isn't simply the weakest character in the room. They're the character who keeps moving forward even after the world has already decided that somebody else was meant to be the hero. And once you start looking at anime through that lens, you'll realise this trope appears far more than you would think. Why are so many viewers interested in this trope to the point that it has become almost as prevalent as the Chosen One? First of all, it is important to note that many people watch anime as a way to escape from reality. We love to see the main character save the world by defeating the evil villain who terrorizes it. There's something satisfying about watching a hero become exactly who they were always destined to be. That is why the Chosen One trope is so popular, as it shows us the person we wish we could become. Despite all of this then, what do people see in the character who isn't special in any way and isn't the one meant to save the world from the dangers it faces? A character whose biggest challenge isn't saving the world, but simply getting through another day. Well, viewers love these characters as rather than seeing the person they wish they could become, they are reminded of who they already are. While anime lets us escape reality, it also reminds us of the people we want to be. Will most of us ever become the legendary hero destined to save the world? No. Instead, we admire the characters who continue to push forward regardless of how far behind they feel compared to everyone else. These characters don't continue to struggle because their destiny tells them to, but rather because it doesn't. Which raises the question, if destiny was always meant to be fulfilled, then why do so many stories choose to follow the people it left behind? So we've covered what makes this trope so intriguing, but that still leaves the question, how does anime utilise it? Well, as with many tropes in this medium, there are various interpretations in how it's used, depending on the stories. Actors can reject destiny, accept it for what it is, be destroyed by it, or even overcome it. When it comes to rejecting the idea of destiny, I feel there is no better example of this than Iki from the Chivalry of a Failed Knight. Now, once you get past the show's very obvious appeal to teenage boys, Chivalry of a Failed Knight actually presents its own form of the heavy subject of discrimination. In a society where the ranking of your blazer, in turn your magical power, determines your social status, Iki sits at the very bottom. Throughout the whole show, he defies the expectations of those around him and shows that he can still succeed even if destiny has forsaken him. There is no better display of this than in the final episode of the season. Unfortunately, we never got a season 2, where Iki is set to fight the student council president, who embodies everything that society values, to save the girl he loves. Is this some grand battle with the entire world at stake? No, but that does not matter to him. Even after being deliberately weakened and pushed beyond his limits, Iki refuses to give up. Pushing every ounce of strength into a single attack, Iki accomplishes exactly what he set out to do. For him, victory isn't about proving destiny wrong. It's about proving that people without destiny still have lives worth fighting for. The Unchosen One trope, however, doesn't have to be as grand as rejecting the system that discriminates against you, but rather can be something extremely mundane. Sometimes, the bravest thing a hero can do isn't save the world. It's simply to help the person standing in front of them. This is what we see with the character of Koichi from My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Just a regular ass dude in a tacky All Might hoodie. This example works perfectly as we all see what the truly chosen ones look like in his world. We see characters like All Might and Deku fight with their lives on the line, all to save the planet against the impending threats that are All for One and Shigaraki. These characters are loved as we see their struggle against adversity to save those that they love and protect the world itself. This, however, doesn't mean we cannot care for Koichi because he saves people on a much smaller scale. In fact, it actually enhances his efforts. Sure, he doesn't have the best quirk in the world, and he is nowhere near the strongest. He can't save the world, and he also can't be its protagonist. But no matter how strong you are, or no matter how many people you save, you cannot help everyone. Koichi doesn't try to reject the life he lives and seek out something he is not. Instead, he accepts it. When offered to work as a sidekick and potentially become a hero, he declines the offer. We see, however, that he has always dreamed about becoming a hero. So why did he do this? Did he give up on his dreams? No, that is not the case. In fact, he just altered them slightly. He realized that becoming a true hero isn't about getting a license, but instead about helping those nearby. While he can't become the hero that slays the evil villain who threatens world peace, he can help a little girl save a stray cat, or even save parents and their babies. Koichi realizes that trying to become someone else's version of a hero was never the point. The people standing in front of him don't need the symbol of peace. They just need someone willing to help. Unfortunately, not everyone accepts this reality. While some are able to surpass the idea of destiny, others are consumed by it. There's no better example of this than David Martinez from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Cyberpunk 2077 had one of the rockiest launches in gaming history. Unfortunately for David, his journey wasn't much smoother. Night City, where the anime takes place, is described as one of the hardest places to live in all of anime. After losing everything that mattered to him, David decided that there was only one way he could survive the harsh reality that he found himself in. His solution was to become someone special. No, rather, it was that he truly believed that he was a chosen one. With this mindset of his, David began to fear nothing. Believing he was different gave David permission to ignore every warning. Cyberpsychosis wasn't something that happened to people like him. At least, that's what he convinced himself. The only thing he focused on was making sure he and those he held dear survived another day. Against someone who is truly beyond human, in Adam Smasher, however, his illusion begins to crumble. Despite this, he continues to fight for what he believes in. If becoming someone special was the only way to stop losing the people he loved, then he'd keep chasing that dream, no matter the cost. In the end, David is not able to overcome destiny. Does this make his struggle pointless? Absolutely not. While David may not have been truly special like he believed, he lived his life in a special way. He protected the people he loved until the very end. More importantly, he refused to let Night City consume him. Instead, his life ended on his own terms. So while David may not have been chosen, he was certainly special in his own way. He couldn't escape the fate he believed he was destined to defy, but that doesn't mean that nobody can. In fact, the anime Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, displays this like no other. Outside of a socially awkward elf girl who likes getting eaten by mimics, Frieren is praised for many reasons. One of the biggest is its portrayal of Himmel, who initially appears to be the perfect chosen one. Through flashbacks, we see a hero who always stops to help others, no matter how small the task. Even if it delays his journey to defeat the Demon King, Himmel believes that saving people along the way is just as important as reaching the destination. So what is the point in describing such a perfect hero who fits the chosen one to a T? Well, that's just it. Himmel wasn't chosen at all. Halfway through the series, we learn that the legendary sword never chose Himmel. He was never the hero destiny intended to defeat the Demon King. But that's the point. It doesn't matter. Rather than fighting against destiny, Himmel proves it doesn't matter. He becomes a better hero than anyone could have ever imagined. So much so that people are not even concerned about his destiny. As Himmel puts it in the show, he doesn't need the real legendary sword. Instead, he will turn the fake sword that he has into the real one. Himmel states that there's nothing wrong with being a fake hero. I'll defeat the Demon King and bring peace to the world. Then, it won't matter if I'm fake or not. This quote perfectly encapsulates Himmel's entire character. Throughout his journey, Himmel was never concerned about becoming the chosen one. Himmel never cared whether destiny had chosen him. He became a hero anyway. Not because fate demanded it, but because he chose to be one. Overall, Himmel's character perfectly captures why the Unchosen One resonates with so many people. We don't admire these characters because they become heroes. We admire them because they choose to become heroes, even when destiny tells them they never will. Does this mean we dislike characters who embody the chosen one trope? Of course not. Some of anime's most beloved protagonists, including Naruto, Ichigo, and Luffy, all fit this archetype. Whether you go as far back as the 90s to Yusuke and Yu Yu Hakusho, or as recent as Gojo and Jujutsu Kaisen, this trope has remained popular for decades. The problem, however, is not that the trope is bad, but rather that it's everywhere. This leads to oversaturation within the genre, causing viewers to seek out something different. This is why debates form, with people arguing that Deku isn't really the chosen one. Mirio was supposed to inherit One for All. Regardless of your stance in these debates, they demonstrate why the Unchosen One trope has gained so much popularity within the anime community, as fans hope for a main character that doesn't possess every ability in the sun. By no means are people falling out of love with the Chosen One trope, but they certainly aren't afraid to welcome new takes on characters. It is also important to note that the Unchosen One trope is not without its haters as well. The expectation for the norm is still seen when looking at Subaru from ReZero. I won't go into too much detail about him in this video. If you want to see a deeper dive, you can check out a previous video on my channel where I analyse how he is no idealistic hero. When ReZero first aired, one of the biggest criticisms towards the story was that its protagonist, Natsuki Subaru, was far too weak. Opinions like this were generated because of how much stronger every other character seemed, especially Reinhard, who fits the Chosen One perfectly. Viewers are used to main characters being someone like Reinhard, and not someone like Subaru. This causes them to be disappointed, as they wonder why so many people like this show when the main character can't do anything. As they continue watching, however, they realise that that is exactly why the show became so popular. Not following the typical power fantasy approach, The Unchosen One is refreshing precisely because we've spent decades following chosen heroes. That history, however, is also what makes these characters so hard to accept. Many viewers expect the protagonist to be the strongest person in the room. On the other hand, characters like Cyberpunk make us wonder how someone with no destiny at all can still become the most important person in the story. In the end, perhaps the reason we love the Unchosen Ones so much is because they remind us of ourselves. Whether the character rejects their destiny, accepts it, is destroyed by it, or overcomes it, we're all invested in how they face the journey ahead. While we still love the protagonists who were always destined to become heroes, we also love the ones who struggle regardless of the outcome. Maybe being an Unchosen One was never about rejecting destiny at all. Plenty of chosen ones reject their destiny. Instead, it's about continuing forward when the world never chose you in the first place. The point of this trope was never to prove that anyone can become the chosen hero. It was to show that you don't need destiny to live a meaningful life. This trope won't replace the chosen one, but it doesn't need to. Instead, it has simply given us a new kind of hero to root for. While we all dream of being special, we all know it is not a realistic outcome. Instead, we should all aim to be a little more like Rock Lee. Maybe not the bowl cut, but definitely the work ethic. So what do you think? Do you prefer protagonists who are destined for greatness, or the ones who have to earn every step along the way? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoy breaking down anime tropes, themes, and storytelling like this, consider subscribing. I've got plenty more videos like this on the way.